What's up, guys and gals? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys Ayakashi Triangle chapter number 16 review here on Canadian Thanksgiving Monday. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to all Canadians, myself included. And just in case you're wondering, there is no One Piece, of course, this week. You guys already know that and stuff. And our thoughts and our prayers and stuff go out to Oda. Hopefully he recovers really well. We all know mangakas work extremely long, very hard hours. Always found it weird, like prayers. I mean, it's all about the good thoughts and the good vibes, but I'm pretty sure Oda's unlikely to be a Christian, so praying for him is kind of odd. But anyways, not the point. All right, let's get into Ayakashi Triangle, chapter number 16. Honestly, not really a lot in this chapter. I'm feeling a little bit of the Bleach ripoff part here, you know. Wow, who would have thought there was a training ground for the super secret society that humans aren't aware of underneath a toy store? Kisuke Urahara. Anybody. So, yeah, so that was a little odd. But anyway, we have Masaki. He's going to go up, not Masaki, Matsuri is going up against this sort of program, sort of almost like a fighting game. It's a barrel thing. It's some robotic automated machine meant to test the physical data for Ryo, so Ryo can repair the ninja gear and all that stuff, right? Because of course Matsuri's ninja gear is broken. So that's what we're going into here. We're already introduced to the character of Ryo last chapter, and this is where we sort of get a little bit of explanation about the whole data thing, about how the ninja gear works and all that fun jazz. And we also find out, you know what's funny? They talk about alright, this is invisible to human jutsu, this is the stealth jutsu, this is defensive jutsu, this helps for this jutsu, and air conditioning. I love how that was just slipped in there. And also, it's surprisingly comfortable. It's actually got an air conditioned feature with heated seats. Don't worry, guys, it's not a hybrid. You can still have a gas guzzler of your ninja gear, but don't worry, you'll still get all the electronic benefits, all the bells and whistles here for $19.95 and 3% interest at employee pricing. Don't thank me. You know, like that, it just feels like a sales pitch. It really, really does. So anyways, so we go through this. There's actually one part that I was like, this is getting raunchy. Like Shonen Jump can get away with quite a bit of stuff. But in today's climate, it's very difficult to get away with as much as we used to. You know, it's sort of like I was watching with my lovely wife. I was watching Hocus Pocus for the first time over the weekend. She always wanted to see it. I'd never seen it, so we watched it. You know, Disney from the 90s or 2000s, whatever. An old movie. Anyways, so the point is that we finally watched it, and there was some questionable stuff by today's standards. And that's the thing. You go back into some movies, acceptable behavior is not what acceptable behavior is today. So I'm very shocked at this one page that I've pulled up here, just so I didn't forget to mention this, where they're talking about Ryo's gathering physical data, right? Because she has to. That's why they're doing the simulation match, so she can better perform. She's the artisan for Matsuri, so she needs to know everything about how he moves, how he fights, all that stuff, his physical, his tone, how big he is, size, weight, all that stuff, to figure out, the best way to make his gear the most, user-friendly for him. It's specifically built for him. They don't just interchange gear with any ninja. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. The thing is, of course, Suzu, who, of course, Shirogane would say, shameless, absolutely shameless, you are shameless. Suzu is going a little crazy on that, going, well, Matsuri and I lost touch. Is this what sort of happened? And she can't believe the thought, and it's Matsuri back when he was, of course, a young man, sitting back there naked with Ryo, who's also naked, with her hand in a lower position, asking or telling him, we're going to measure this too. Okay, just gonna let that sink in, let that mull over. Not that Shonen Jump is exactly G-rated Disney family friendly, or at least Disney in 2020, friendly. This isn't the Nickelodeon cartoon. You know what? I don't think there's a single goddamn innocent channel. Like, I was looking at Disney. Well, wait a minute. They got some raunchy shit. Nickelodeon. No, not Nickelodeon. Toonami. No, not Toonami. Like, seriously. Family Treehouse. YTV. Like, Fox Kids. None of them. None of them are innocent. So, anyways, point is that this just felt like a little like, whoa, they're really like, this feels like they're going as close to that line as they possibly can while still being allowed to be printed in Shonen Jump. I'm serious. It just feels like, whoa, this is getting a little hot in here. You know what I mean? So, anyways, it's quite an interesting part of the chapter. Either way, we do meet, we get the flashback on how Rio and Matsuri first met. Simply put, that she was always coming up with some like crazy invention sort of idea. At least that's what's implied here, is that she's really talented, but she keeps doing whatever comes to her mind first. She's like, what if we did this to make this super duper different version? And it's like, she's really talented, but she's always making this quirky stuff. It's simplified. We've always had these characters, right? But Matsuri picks up these wind shurikens, which we know he has been using for a long time, like throughout the series so far, and apparently invented by her, a shuriken that can be controlled by wind. And of course, he uses wind jutsu. So it made sense for him, right? And so he was using them. They were excellent. He was having a great time. And so he basically said to her, your name's Rio, right? Well, when I take my test and I become an official, so there is a qualification and acquirement, sort of like any order, Jedi, Shinigami, whatever, right? And when I become an Exorcist Ninja, you're going to be the one to basically be my artisan, make my gear, right? And so she felt really happy about that because everybody thought like, oh, you're talented, but you have like flaws. No one ever just appreciated her inventions for what they were, which were innovative and unique. And he did. So, of course, we have that whole thing, right? So that's all really nice, and she always had a fondness for him ever since, and she has a responsibility to be his. This is reminding me also not just of Bleach with the whole underground sort of idea behind a toy store, but the Air Gear. For anybody who has not read Air Gear, that's basically rollerblades on steroids. Rollerblades that make you fly, right? Okay, so rollerblades that make you fly. They have each person that rides these rollerblades, called ATs, have a rider. They are a rider, and with a rider, when you're a high-level rider or a king, you get a tuner. The tuner is supposed to be able to, match up with you perfectly. It's very similar. This is actually the exact same situation. Gear is the rollerblade in this, sense of the word. So all it is simply they need to know their heartbeat, their sound, how they move, how they act, who they are as a person, all that to make the best possible gear for them that they can, so that they will be at 110% efficiency at all times. That's their job. So we're getting that very classic sort of thing here. I've already seen that once again in Air Gear, done to the best degree I think in manga I've seen in that type of relationship. And anyway, so that's Rio's character thus far. Not a bad character. I enjoy it. Really quick backstory, simplified, makes us able to keep moving on with the plot without spending too many chapters on this new character while we're being introduced to all these new characters and trying to start a main plot sort of going, right? So he's sensational as always, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing a quick read through here, guys, just to make sure I don't miss anything. All of a sudden the tickle function comes into play, and gotta say, here on page 11. Yeah, page 11, that is, yeah. Like, I know Matsuri is currently a woman, but I mean, I was 13-year-old once upon a time. I used to be 12, 13, 14. I remember waking up in a similar state, just saying. Maybe not the laughing part with a tickle monster, but the thing happening down below. So, yeah, this is... Twice in this chapter has gone, like, towing that line and going on completely ridiculous. Like really, like this is getting a little much. I mean, the Ichi element is fine. I'm all for it. I can I can give it a gold star. I'm good with it. But really, like, it's going a little raunchy into a direction that's just like, okay, yeah, we get it. Can we? Like, I'm more excited for getting to the plots and the Shirogane stuff and what Garaku's doing there and what they were talking about, what's Shirogane's plan, all this stuff about, Suzu and stuff, like being the Ayakashi god. Like, I'm getting more interested in the plot and all this, fan service, shall we call it, though it depends on which way you swing. Looking at this shot, as I said, on page 11, looking at the shot, I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to be swinging at this stage. Am I left field? Am I right field? I have no idea. So, yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous, I should say. Shirogane ended up taking control of the robotic barrel creature thingy, automaton, and it's like, ha ha ha, I activated the function because the scroll is mine. So, either way, Ryo basically said, I love putting shit back together and improving on things, so don't worry about breaking the shit out of this automaton. Don't worry about it, Mitsuri. And so Mitsuri's like, all right, no problem. Breaks it, completely beats it all to hell. Shirogane is now a singed fluffy cat, and that's pretty much the end of the chapter, really. There's not really a whole lot that goes on other than that. We're just learning about Ryo stuff. There's the sexy, this is really weird. There's a like the sexy no jutsu sort of outfit sort of going on. Like, man, like they are really trying to stretch this out as far as they can here in Shonen Jump. And why are Suzu's? I'm just gonna say it. Why does Suzu look so flat chested at this angle? Like, she's not like. I wasn't under the impression she was ever an A cup. Like, it just looks really weird. Maybe it's the angle or whatever, but like it's looking like a pancake board to me. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's quite odd. So Ryo gets her to try the suit on. It's very, ha ha ha, and Matsuri's trying to close his eyes, blah, 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 Like, this is a bunch of fluff. At the end of the day, we're just looking at a bunch of fluff in Ichi parts of this chapter, which is just a little disappointing, I think. I think this is the first chapter I've actually been disappointed in, because we got Ryo's backstory, and that was only the really big thing here. Like, we're learning a little bit more about the world, but it seems to be, like, oversaturated with all the Ichi and the fluff and all the, funny situations, It's not until the very end of the chapter where Matsuri starts worrying about how the ninja gear got broken, and maybe it was Suzu trying to use her powers to break the jutsu, which ended up breaking his gear. So that's what they're worried about too. And Shirogane here at the end of the chapter says the increase of the icon, the type of Ayakashi that we've been seeing most frequently in the series, must be related to an ambiguous him. And is he here in this town? If so, and we see a shadowy figure stepping forward, looking in the same sort of element as these icon sort of Ayakashi or yokai, and Shirogane looking slightly worried. So that's the end of the chapter. As I said, I'm just a little disappointed in the chapter because I think this is the first time, because they seem to be so focused when we had multiple elements. We had a backstory that could have been the whole chapter. Like, I'm glad they didn't, stretch it out over 3 or 4, the rest of the month or anything. But we got a couple of pages on the backstory that could have been the whole chapter, that would have been meaningful. We've met a new character. I assume she's going to be part of the main cast, or relatively, sort of like a secondary character at the very least. So I'm totally on board with getting more about her character, seeing her personality. How does the Ayakashi gear work and stuff? That's all fine and dandy, but that was only 3 or 4 pages out of a 19-20 page chapter, where the only other important element seemed to be the very end panels with Shirogane talking about, all right, there's the icon seem to be in force here. It's got to be this ambiguous him, leading up to what the next chapter will likely be about. The rest of it that followed was just hijinks ensue. sort of idea, which is fine dandy, but right now we've had enough. I think 16 chapters in, we've had enough hijinks. We're starting to get a better feel for the story, for the plot, for new characters. It's time to not necessarily get serious, but it's time to see some more plot-related things start to happen, plot-related dialogue going on. This is, at the end of the day, just another fluff chapter, really, that has little tidbits of important information scattered throughout. So yeah, at this point, I still really love this series, but I think it's really time, guys. I think it's time. This has been a long wait for the series to really, let's get into the main plot here. I haven't really seen much of one yet, right? And I really, you can't tell me that the whole main plot is going to be Shirogane trying to get the scroll back and hijinks ensue. If that's the whole plot of this story, if there isn't some grand overarching, which we know we've hinted at with Gyraku talking to Shirogane, there is a bigger force here at work. There is more to this story. But it's time. We're getting closer to 20 chapters, and we're closer to 20 chapters into the series than 10, and I still have no inkling on where the direction of the story is going to go. I think you've had your fluff, you've had your time. We've seen all the Ichi elements, and all the fan service and all the comedy and all the high school drama. Let's, the gender bender stuff is fun, but now let's get some plot stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but, Food Wars, Beelzebub, Toriko, Bleach, One Piece, most of them, by 15, 16 chapters in, they started to get off the ground and we started to have a bit of an arc. An actual solidified, here's the main bad guy, or here's the main objective of, the next year or two for the arc. The next 50 chapters are going to be focused on saving this person, beating that person, doing this objective, this mission, right? So I'm hoping that we get that here in the next few chapters, because now it's finally time. It's time, because now I've actually, as I said, I felt a little disappointed by the 20 pages of this chapter. It didn't really go anywhere. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. And don't take my little bit of a negative turn here at the end of the review as something bad about the series. I still thought the chapter was okay. It was fine. But it's time to pick up the pace. We really need to start at we need a true plot line. That's all I'm trying to say. Still thought the chapter was fine, still had good points to say about the chapter, and this series I'm still really excited for it. So, once again, just wanted to say that as a last note, like, comment, and subscribe. Drink responsibly, as always, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you back here next time for Ayakashi Triangle, Chapter 17. Should be dropping next weekend. As always, we'll see you back here next time.